to everyone under the sun.
People say you're queerbaiting.
The thing about it is, I love human beings. Whatever it is, I'm down if it's a vibe. I really struggle with my body. I always have. People would say in the comments that I would read it and read it and read it. I was like, I am not well. I am drinking a lot. I was just going on mad binges and then eating nothing for 4 days. I didn't even know how bad it was until I stopped.
We've got to talk about the music.
No one gave a f in the UK. But then someone in America goes, I want you to come to LA.
You basically left with 60 cents.
60 quid, and it came back with a $1 record deal.
What was the most painful moment?
My family went bankrupt. I don't really speak about that moment. I really believe in kindness, and I really believe in love. I see it every day at the gigs.
This is why I am so happy that my son counts you as someone who he admires. Can we talk about love?
I have taken space from the biggest love of my life. Never loved anything like I love her. That's why I got tattooed on my arm.
So why not be with her? Before we get into it, just a heads up, we discuss some sensitive topics with Dom, including eating disorders, sexual assault, and domestic violence. So please take care while watching. Can we start the adventure
Yes.
in Doncaster?
We can.
All right. Tell me about it, because I've only stopped at the train stop.
Yes.
So when you think about describing Doncaster,
Yes.
how would you describe it, especially growing up?
Rainy. Pavement. Community. Pubs. Warm. Cold. Cold and warm. Cold outside, warm inside. You know, I really love where I'm from. I haven't always loved where I'm from, but I do now as a man. I think I love the north of England. It's literally a fundamental base of my whole personality. You know, I think that's why such good music and such good art comes out of the north, because it's kind of, I always describe the north as like there's so much beauty in the dirt. You know, I think Donny is such a middle town. It's a city now, but it was such a middle town in between York, Leeds, and Sheffield.
Yes.
It's almost like a forgotten place. You know, I mean, in the middle of these big cities. I mean, me dad and me granddad had a guitar shop. There's literally a picture of me 6 hours old outside the hospital. I'd just been taken from, like, been given birth to and put on me dad's counter.
Wow.
And all the lads in the shop put a Beatles ukulele across my lap. So I think music was always kind of going to be the answer for me, you know. And my granddad was a musician, and he played with a couple bands, and he went to America and went on a couple tours. And he really kind of loved any association with music. So they built a shop in the north where often a lot of bands would, if you're in the middle of the north, there's no prominent music shops.
Right.
So you'd either get your strings or dope guitars or things from America and London. But when you're on your way up to Glasgow and you run out of stuff, there's nothing there. So my grandfather got a shop in Donny. I was there this weekend watching the football, actually. And my uncles took me, they're not really my uncles, but you know what I'm saying, like my dad's best mates, took me to where it used to be, because I never remembered it, because they got rid of it in Doncaster when I was like 8.
Okay.
I don't know, I felt like I was part of a gang in a way.
Interesting. Was your grandfather almost like, was it a patriarchal setup where your grandfather was really like the head of this family?
It was really like when he passed away, we said the main characters died. That's what my dad said. You know what I mean? And it's cool because I've never really spoken about it from this perspective. Like, it was such a lot of fun. You know what I mean? It was proper northern, cash in hand business. Get in a van, like, go pick up the guitars, go sell them. Some weeks were amazing. Some weeks the house is getting smashed up by everyone. You know what I mean? It's like it was very northern. It was very like a lot of emotions flying around, a lot of arguments flying around, but ultimately like a lot of kind of unity flying around. I always remember kind of like trying to relinquish that turbulence when I went off to London to try and be my own
Interesting.
person. You know what I mean? I think,
Can we sit in that moment
yeah,
of that turbulence?
yeah,
Because I think one thing that's interesting to a lot of people is this notion of, you know what, my life was turbulent, but everyone else's wasn't. And every single person that sits there, Dom, everyone recalls the turbulence
yeah.
of childhood.
It's crazy.
You know, I think this is life.
When you're a kid, you are so open and so susceptible, you know, and I think that's why we remember pain or beauty more than ever from childhood.
Interesting. So then on that note,
Yes.
what was the most painful moment in your childhood?
We went bankrupt and the business went into liquidation.
Okay.
With my family, right? There was a lot of arguments. There was a lot of kind of violence, like from all angles, right? But we would together, no matter what. At that point, my mum took us away, and my dad had to figure it out. But everyone was fighting and screaming, and I remember feeling completely divided, kind of like, you know, when you're in the middle of a battlefield and your army's scattered.
Yeah.
I can hate them, and they can hate me, but we're together, and we were completely divided. And I remember like being really freaked out, but almost like confused for my dad, and scared for my dad, and I don't know. I think like I'm not really. I don't really speak about that moment.
How does that moment of isolation, when you were such a close-knit family, you were a team,
Yeah,
right? Now you feel isolated. How do you think that has shaped the man that you've become?
I really craved community. I think the whole basis of who I am has strived around making people feel safe in a space to potentially make me feel safe.
Hmm.
I really think the fundamental sense of my world building and my strive for community came from my grandfather, and I've never said that. He was such a lover of culture and chose life in every regard. Like, he's in the back of my head when I'm like, oh, should I do this? Naughty or good? You know what I mean? He was like, he was just, he was a legend. And I think like, I loved belonging somewhere.
Yes.
And I did from like 2 to 12, 13. You know what I mean? Because I was like the prince of this little dynasty, you know what I mean, in the guitar shops in the north of England. And I was like, whoa, this is cool.
Yes.
And then I wanted to play him. I didn't want to sell him. I wanted to play him.
Play him. Yeah.
And it was weird because I was almost like dissuaded from that. Because obviously I think my dad and my granddad knew how hard it was to make music of any kind. People were coming in to the shop, getting signed, buying guitars, and coming back a year later and selling them. Because it was like, so they were always like, nah, don't go into music.
Don't do it. It's too, yeah.
It's too, it's, you know what I'm saying? It's literally just like, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's,
But I could see the love though of that family,
Yeah.
that environment. Because I almost think back to I grew up in New York, and I remember the family and seeing uncles and
yeah,
just, you know, it was like I'm a part of something.
completely.
I'm a part of something that means something.
Oh yeah, it was kind of, it was sick. It was rock and roll, you know. It was like, honestly, it's all I've ever really known is rock music because I was on a shop counter.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
smell of a vintage guitar and guitar strings and pickups and metal and soldering irons and wires and beer that's been on a carpet for 2 weeks is like my smell of home. You know what I mean? It's the thing, you know, when you get a smell,
Yes.
it's like damp beer carpet and metal from guitar strings is like what associates me with home.
You should do a cologne.
I fully should. It smell like shit, but I mean, I love it. I'm down, you know. I think it's so funny every time, like, kind of we buy a vintage guitar or I smell guitars because it's kind of makes me feel like I'm 10 again.
Yes. So what was school like for you during that time?
Now that is where things juxtaposed for me, because at school I was either loved or hated. I was like very like, he's out of control, he's wild, he's dangerous, he's very opinionated. To be honest, I was exactly the same as I am now. I loved people. I wanted to believe in people. I wanted to meet people. I wanted to do things. I like marveled at the world. I've always been a puppy. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I think in the North, some people don't like that. It's quite a British thing. It's very funny when you first go to America, right? If you've got a nice car in America, everyone's like, wow, you got a nice car. If you've got a nice car here, look here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's a very British thing, and that's just our culture. And I think when you kind of someone is fundamentally fizzing with energy, some people want to dim that.
Mm.
When people look at me, they already form an opinion because I'm so full of energy. People either think it's fake, or that that I'm going to be completely out of control and they're not going to like me, or I'm going to be a dick.
Wow.
I've always just been like, Marmite, you love it or you don't.
Right. In school, being 8, 12, 13, whatever, how did people try to dim your light?
I would be really experimental. I was like always too loud, or I would make an argument. I was like, I don't know if that's right. And I would always be like, sir, why are you doing that? Blah, blah, blah. And I remember Own Clothes Day came around for a specific event. And I was so excited. I had my Nirvana hoodie on, and I'd been watching Kurt Cobain, like in the shop. So I had eyeliner on, I put my hair down, Nirvana hoodie on, skin tight jeans, and I paint my nails. And I remember a teacher in front of the whole class was like, boys don't wear nail varnish. And I was like, where the hell did that come from? And you're like 11. And I always remember like being either too loud or too excited or too confident or too quiet or always too something instead of just being like the vibe, you know. But then I met a drama teacher who I fell in love with, because I think when I was a young kid like that, and people try and dim you, you want to kick back and you start to rebel and you start to get naughty because you have no outlet. And you kind of trying to look to someone, and I started to kind of like go the wrong way.
Okay.
I remember one teacher came, Mr. Vigette, came into my life and was just like, you've got so much energy, and you've got this fizzing, you come with this pan. He was like, you're a pan, right? And you've got this, you're bubbling and you're simmering and your lid's blowing off. It's like, if you learn to harness that, use it.
Wow.
And use it as a superpower. And when people don't like it, realize that the power is within yourself to give them a response, or to give them pain, or to give them their point any sense of validation. Like, that's when you're going to win.
That's brilliant.
And I remember that. I remember being like, I remember that hitting me in the forehead.
Yeah.
And going like, oh. And I found like drama as a subject, or music, or history, was something that I could delve into because of that subject. I was like, what do I like, and where do I want to put this mad thing what I've got that I don't know why I've got it? What can I channel this into?
Did you have an idea professionally at that point what direction you wanted to go? Where you
I always knew that I wanted to like be on stage in any capacity.
Mm-hmm.
even if that was like a teacher or something, or like, you know what I mean, or like obviously like world rock star list, or like movie star or some shit, but like, or like I don't know, like speaking or performing in any regard was always kind of what made me happy.
What lit you up?
Yeah, it just kind of like let me switch it on. I don't know.
You know what I'm curious about though is that it seems like that particular teacher changed your life,
Yeah.
right? So you had teachers who supported you, teachers who didn't.
Yes.
How did your peers respond to you? You know, how did the other kids respond to you? Because I can imagine that, you know, you're describing what Doncaster was like.
Yeah.
You probably don't look like
No, yeah, I was a weirdo.
the typical,
Completely.
right? You were special,
Yeah.
right? You were extraordinary,
Yeah.
you know, but maybe not everyone looked at you like
Hey,
you were extraordinary.
that's what it was such a bubble. You know, I think Doncaster is like, I mean, it's a lot better now, but like when I grew up, it was like you kind of go into town and people were like, "What the fuck is he wearing?" Or "Why is he like that?" Like, you know, I mean, I was like, it was pretty intense. I had like goth boots on and eyeliner at like 9. My mum said she took me down into town one day, and people were like, "How can you let your son dress like that?" You know, I mean, I was like I was like expressing myself, and a lot of people would be like, I was just like, I used to get like puff, weirdo, you know, all that shit in town. You know, what I mean, all those like crazy words. That was very abnormal to like someone formulating a personality.
Yes.
You know, and I think kind of looking back on it, it was rough being the subject of that, or even kind of like you've got the I call them like the evil. You got like if someone's like throwing a bomb at you, right? When someone does that, but you've also got the passive things, like, and I would say this to anyone a little bit older who is kind of talking to a young person, formulating an identity. Passive digs because you don't understand someone yet hurt sometimes even more, because that is you showing your hand to me, and as a young person I'm kind of going to formulate an answer.
This is such an important point because what I would relate this to, I'll use my lived experience on this, is that I'll relate it to racism.
Yeah.
And how I'll relate it is that there's a debate around racism where is it better to have someone who's overtly racist? So to basically say, you're excluded because you're black, for example, or is it better to have someone smile at you and just not serve you, right? That's passive. And I always say the overt is much better because the passive, what it does is it leaves you questioning yourself, second guessing.
Completely.
It's a soul destroyer. And to your point, I'm so glad that you brought this up, is that this is how many people are marginalized.
Yeah.
Passively.
Completely. My best mate Isaac, like my best mate in the world, like North London Jewish boy, he talks about this to me all the time. He's like, I would like when someone's passively anti-Semitic to me, the rest of the table allows it to happen.
Yes.
If someone else around the table speaks out, the rest of the table can be like, "You're overreacting. This is the problem with the world. This is the problem with the new generation." It's such a crazy argument to formulate in a crazy conversation to have, that like passive oppression is so much more damaging to someone's like internal organs and kind of like internal structure.
So then what I need to know is how you're a young man, how do you not allow that to destroy your soul?
The biggest thing I would say, all your power, all your energy, all your individuality is inside you. You choose to give someone that power. And this is something I learned later in life. So like I would have loved someone to say this to me younger.
Okay.
Someone targeting you will be for a facet of different reasons. If you allow them to take your beauty, your power, your identity away from you, that is the biggest trauma you can do to yourself. Like, I think it's the biggest thing I've learned, because I get called from a pig to a dog every day. If I read the internet, like, that's what I would say to my younger self, and that's what I would say to a young person. It's not easy. It's so hard.
It's not. But you're saying that as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, that's how you operated, because at that age, I feel like, even myself, like, I felt like I was strong in identity relative to other people my age.
Yeah.
But I still swayed. You know, if the crowd was saying, do
Oh,
this,
I was a 10-year-old. Yeah, I was like, it's the hardest thing about being a young man, and especially at the minute, if you don't adhere to the trend, you're a weirdo, you're a freak, you kind of, you isolated. It makes us kind of terrified to formulate any personality at all. I feel like what's so strange around kind of young men at the minute is the glamorization of the inability to fail. You can't fail. You can't fall off your bike. You can't, like, I don't know, like, drop plates in the kitchen. You can't cry. You can't, like, it's like, don't fail, don't fail, don't fail. Succeed, succeed, succeed. And I can genuinely say that, like, failure is the only way you will build up a personality in any sort of education within yourself in the world. Like, don't be afraid to fail. I fail 10 times a day, and I succeed once a week. Everyone's snapshot of their life that they consume is perfect, and the road to that success and that happiness is clipped together, and the journey of it is never told.
Right.
When you consume it, you know what I mean?
And then when you eventually do fail, then what happens is the humiliation is 10 times or 100 times.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, or you know, and what is so incredibly sad is that whenever I see a violence happening with youth, and it's really, it's a femicide, right, where you're seeing a young boy or a young man taking the life of a young woman, you'll find out inevitably that typically it's some type of rejection that happened.
Yeah.
He was rejected. She denied him. She said, "I'm no longer want to see you." And he didn't know how to take the rejection.
No.
Because, to your point,
Because, yeah, you can't fail.
can't fail.
I'm really glad we're talking about this at the minute, because I think it's kind of taken me 27 years to fundamentally really kind of, like, own my masculinity. Like, I'm in a period of my life at 27 where I'm like, and that's such a crazy thing to say in 2025,
Yes.
isn't it? It's such a ridiculed thing to say. I think we have such a duty at the minute to really talk about that. It makes me really scared for young men at the minute, because they have nowhere to turn to. You know what I'm saying? There's such a big anti-men thing happening on the internet, and for a 12-year-old boy to see that, it's like, ooh, who can I be? And then you end up finding someone like Andrew Tate, and then you turn towards that. If you take someone like my sister's generation, who's 18 now, she is, her and her friends are so dope, because they see nothing. They just see humans, and they love, and they're like, yeah, man, what are you talking about? Like, I was fully just like, you kind of like want to tread on eggshells, and they're kind of like, what are you talking about? We're vibing. They don't see, like, my sister's generation in school, I see all her friends, they don't see gender, they don't see sexuality, they don't see color, they don't see nothing. They're just like, yeah, man. But on the generation under them, there's something darker happening. I think because of the internet, and there's so much, like, marginalization and segregation, etc., etc. We have to be careful with everyone, because it feels like it's going the other way, especially with young males at the minute. So watching a thing on Gareth Southgate, you know, his speech, the England manager.
Yes.
And it's so interesting, because you can tell, as an, I don't know how old he is, 45-year-old man, he's terrified to talk about masculinity.
Right.
And that is a very scary thing. Even me now, I'm going, okay, how do I navigate this? Because this might go online, and I might get cancelled for this. Because as Youngblood, I am for whatever you are. I've been for, if you're non-binary, if you're trans, if you're a woman, if you're a man, if you whatever you are.
Right.
Like, that's Youngblood. But when I kind of go to the period of the subject of masculinity, I'm like, shit. And it's interesting because, like, kind of when I talk about this to all my friends, it's almost like we all tread on eggshells. And I always get really concerned for my little cousin who's 12. And he's a legend. And he likes go-karting. And he likes football. And he likes blah, blah, blah. And I really get worried about, like, okay, who is he looking at on the internet? Because if you take this kind of anti-man thing that's going on, which is justified, like, take that out of my generation or my dad or my granddad or my great-granddad, fine. But this 12-year-old boy been exposed to this kind of thing, going like, oh, I can't be that when I'm formulating my ideas, but I like this. And then he's on the internet every day, and then he finds, again, like, the far right and this kind of position of power. Like, it's really dangerous, because what my point is, people like me and people like you are afraid to go, I'm masculine. You can listen to me, and you can, and the biggest part of masculinity is that I learned in a boxing gym, right? With boxers. I walk in, I love it. I'm full of testosterone. I'm aggressive. I'm about to box. I like boxing. Youngblood likes boxing. Yesterday, I'm wearing a skirt on stage. So this morning, I'm in a boxing gym. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the biggest beautiful kind of thing I learned from that is, like, I love the masculinity and respect in my gym, because I'm like, everyone goes around each other and says hello to each other. And that is the problem. You've got this on this side. You've got this on this side. And in every regard at the minute, like us liberals, if you want, are afraid to take the gloves off when the gloves need to come off.
Yes.
Even what's happening, like everything regarding, like, trans people in America right now, like, the far right are taking the gloves off.
Yeah. I mean, trans rights in the UK as well.
Exactly, everywhere. I'm just saying, but like stemming from that over there as well, where I see, like, such a staple of womanhood, like Hunter Schafer, bring out a passport that says male on it. I'm like for my generation, such a staple of, like, a modern womanhood, and I'm like, oh my God, amazing. It's like, but it, like, with us all, like, at the minute, like, people are afraid to talk out of fear of being cancelled. If you're liberal, if you're, like, centre-leaning left, or if you're left, it's like the gloves are off on the right, and we've got to talk about it, and we've got to be unafraid to be challenged, or be, like, make mistakes on cameras like this, make mistakes on podcasts, like, say your opinion, because we need to give something back as well. You know what I mean?
We do. You know what's so wild about what you said, Dom? You just articulated something that I haven't been able to, but it's been in my mind for so long.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
And I'm trying to articulate it. So if it's unclear, I'm just like trying to get there as well.
I see, because you were like, I can see, you were like, I want, because, all right, to that point of wanting to articulate it, is that this is something that personally I deal with every day, is I want to, quote unquote, say the right thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't want to be canceled. You don't want to be alienated, but you do want to express yourself.
Completely.
You know, and it's so frustrating, because I think that so many of us, what we're doing is we're doing a disservice to the younger boys.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that is it. And if we're not doing it because we're too scared, they're going to find someone who isn't scared, who is preaching darkness and a step backward in the world.
Yes.
As a people, we do this all day, and we pick up information, and our opinions are based on what we consume. If that's you reading books, if you're having conversations in the pub, if you're watching things on Instagram, you have to, like, we learn. We're sponges at the minute on hyper speed.
Yes.
So I just think anyone in a position of power, of platform, or of not of anything, have to talk, and you have to conversate.
But this is interesting, because there are many artists, and I'll say just people who have massive platforms, but I'll say artists who say, you know what, it's not my role, or it's not my responsibility.
No, it completely is. Some artists I don't want to get political. I don't want to get blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get, like, it's like, it's time more than ever to speak, and it's time more than ever to want to learn publicly. I'm like, someone asked me a question, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Teach me about it.
Okay.
I said something maybe a little bit wrong. Teach me about it. That's the opposite to cancel culture, I think. It's because everything's moving so quickly. I didn't mean to miss that. I misrepresented that. I might have said that a little bit wrong. Educate me on it. Do that blah, blah, blah on it. Instead of like shutting down and not saying anything at all.
Right.
Because that is how, again, someone who's not afraid to take the gloves off and to throw a couple of punches will make the world a darker place.
Well said.
You know what I mean?
This is why I wanted you here.
But I'm buzzing, you know what I mean? Like, so speak up, like, and I think, to be honest, like, I have been cancelled for kind of shit that Twitter has made up and then gone viral, and I'm still here, you know what I mean? So it's fine. I think, like, the internet is such a wild west, but your opinion can also change, and it can evolve, and it can adapt, and it can blah, 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 because that's what happens with time.
Right, right. No, you know, this is why I am so happy that you know, my son counts you as someone who he admires.
Vibing well.
Yeah.
That means a lot to me.
You talk a lot about culture, politics, society, right? And you've infused that in your music clearly. But when you were a young man,
Yeah.
who did you look up to? Who did you aspire to be like?
I loved Bowie. I loved Beckham. I loved people who were so themselves. I loved Eminem. I loved Lady Gaga. I loved David Hay. I remember I was like literally just like boxer, footballer, alien space musician Bowie, alien space musician Gaga, like crazy rapper Eminem. Like I just loved anyone who was like fundamentally themselves, and like I loved caricatures.
Okay.
You know, I loved to be if I could Freddie Mercury, if I could draw you, I'd love you. Do you know what I mean? Like Dr. Dre, I was like, whoa, like
really?
like shit, like
Wow.
like I remember like finding like Cypress Hill, NWA, because I grew up in a rock music like family, but when you find a genre of music on your own, that's when you're like, Grandad just doesn't get it. I'm like, no, it's the same thing, but from a different mindset.
Right.
And he's like, no, man, you gotta pick the guitars up. And I'm like, no, man. And then I'm like, show him the Beastie Boys, and it's like got guitars and hip hop beats. And he's like, oh, I kind of get that. And then like, I'm vibing, you know what I mean? So I was like, I think anyone that was just like defiant or a caricature, I would just kind of gravitate
Gravitated.
towards.
You know, specifically because you're talking about Eminem, Dr. Dre, we've got to talk about the music career.
Yes.
Because this was the part that did blow my mind. Because when I listen to your music now, right? So I've gone through the catalog, and I was like, man, this guy's got like rock, he's got hip hop, like he has these elements. So I could see. So from what I understand, you were not signed here,
No.
but by Interscope
Records.
Which Interscope, I mean, I'm a hip hop head.
Yeah, man.
So Interscope is top of the food chain.
This blew my mind. And I can tell you this story. It's so mad, this story. I loved The Clash.
Okay.
Because to me, Strummer was mixing dub music and punk music. That's why I loved it. And I was like, oh, well, then I can do hip hop and I can do punk music together. And I could blend it like that in a new way.
Okay.
No one gave a fuck in the UK. No one even said we were bad. Just no one cared. Like, you know what I mean? I got a manager, Thomas. He's still my manager now. It was epic. He found me like an open mic night. No one cared. No one wanted to sign us. No one wanted to write about us. But we were getting a little bit of heat in the Netherlands.
Okay.
Weird, right? Me manager's Danish. So he had some old mate in Holland who got me on the radio. And that allowed us to sell out like a 100-seater venue.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In Amsterdam. But then someone in America, a guy called Grant Owens, was listening to this Dutch radio station, because he's like this tastemaker in LA, because it was a song called King Charles, which was about Brexit. Do you remember that Netflix show, The Get Down?
Yeah.
Baz Luhrmann thing about the birth of hip hop. I was like, what? I was obsessed with that. And it was like this break beat. It was like, and I was like, whoa. And then they started voiceovering over it. So I kept rewinding this 3-second break beat. I started doing this like weird rap flow about Brexit. And then I put a guitar over it, and it was like on Dutch radio. And this guy was like, this just sounds mental.
Right.
So this guy goes, I want you to come to LA and play this night called We Found New Music at the Bardo in Hollywood. Thomas was like, right, I'm going to pay for you to go to New York. Why don't you go and write in New York a little treat, and then we'll go do a showcase in LA. So let's just like,
Give it a try.
let's just, I don't know. You know what I mean? So go to New York, and I take my mate, who was an assistant to Deck, and he's Irish, called Emmett Power, right? And he can sell anything to anyone.
All right.
Right? Like, you want to get into a club, Emmett will get you in. You want to get into a party, Emmett will get you in. So I'm like in like the Universal building near Central Park. Me and Emmett formulate a plan. I'm like, right, you're going to pretend to be my drummer, and you're going to ride the elevator all day, and you're going to just talk shit about this new act called Youngblood. Right? So he's in an elevator in New York, Universal building's like, yo, Jesus, you got to hear this new act, Youngblood. He's like blowing up outside the UK. Kids are going crazy in Europe. And then like these young A&Rs going like, oh yeah, cool, man. Typical major label style. Chat, 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 chat. The whole building's found out about it. Then news has made its way to the West Coast.
Incredible.
Warner, Republic, Sony, XYZ are talking about it. We fly my band out. Thomas at the showcase goes, right, there's every major record label executive on the front row. Don't fuck it up. And I'm just like, go straight to the toilet, spew my guts out.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah. We're literally like, me, my drummer, and my guitar player are living in a 2-bedroom flat in Clapham South. There's got live wires on the wall. We stink a damn. I'm like, this is the moment. And I was just shitting myself. Didn't know if I could hold it together. And my guitar player, best friend in the world, Scottish, just goes, fuck him. Gigs son. And I'm like, go out, go mental, nail the showcase, and then, yeah, we got signed to Interscope Records like 3 days later. But it all came from us talking shit in an elevator
in New York.
in New York.
That is an epic story.
It's a wild story.
It's an epic story. And it just goes to show, right, the power of just like belief in self.
Belief in self and friendship and community. You know what I mean? And never give up, because you never know when the smallest situation can turn into a moment that defines you.
Yes, yes.
Like like that's the problem with the world at the minute. We're never present. The love of your life could walk by. The person you're gonna start the most revolutionary business in the world could walk by. Your best friend for the next 50 years, the godfather of your child, the godmother of your child could walk and pass you by, and you are completely unaware of it because you're just thinking about the future, or you're thinking about this.
Yeah. You also, that story too, I think, is a beautiful example of control everything that you can, right? You know, your friend is talking in the elevator, you know what I mean? You're like, your talent, obviously, you control everything you can, but then other things,
Nah, you gotta
you let it go.
you gotta let it go.
Your boy from Scotland was just like, yo, this
Yeah, and that's it, man. It's literally just like some of it is written and some of it is not, and so and you gotta write a little bit to get to the bit that has been written.
yes.
You know what I mean? If you got a page right, the bottom of it's written. You got to fill in the first bit.
Yes, yes. So from that, can you talk about the deal?
Yeah, it was always going to be Interscope for me because it's fundamental values,
Mm-hmm.
defiance, community,
Yeah.
Trent Reznor, Eminem, Dre,
All of Death Row.
literally all of that shit was just like, it was like rock and hip hop collided.
Yeah.
And it was just like, this is just home. And they went, we just want to do what you want to do. I don't necessarily think I have a hit song yet.
To this day.
Not really. I've never had a song in the top 10, ever.
But is that, how do you,
You know what
how
I'm
do you
saying?
qualify hit though?
For me, that's what I'm saying. For me,
Mhm.
I've never had a song in the top 10. But I always wanted to lead with community and what does the music mean? What conversation does it start? How does it bring people together? And Interscope got that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I believe maybe if I would have been signed to Epic, if I didn't have 3 hits later, I would have been dropped.
Not everything is about money.
No.
But I think it's important though,
Yeah.
because how big was the
Oh.
deal? Like, because you said you basically left with 60 pounds.
60 quid, and it came back with a $1.2 million record deal.
We have to stop for a second though.
I remember 13 months of playing East London, the Old Blue Last, downstairs, the Lock Tavern in Camden. Everyone was like, nah. Every meeting I went for, rock music's, it's not really happening at the minute. That's what everyone was saying. They're like, it's a little bit like the Arctic Monkeys. It's a little bit like this. Oh, I don't know. He's a bit energetic. I don't think that's going to get on Radio 1. I remember people saying that to me. And to then go to America and someone go like, we love this energy. We love this defiance. We love this because it's different.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like you and your drama teacher all over again.
Yeah, it does. That's what I'm saying. It's another bit in my life where Neil Jacobson and John Janet go like, we love it. Like, I think any artist right now, your individuality is your best tool you've got. In the past, they would try and make everyone cleaner to fit to TV, to fit to radio. That doesn't matter. There's no rules. Now, as opposed to when I'm signing, the labels haven't got a clue what's working. Because there's no formula. Individuality is the thing that's celebrated. Even if your individuality is to be the most squeaky clean, normal thing, or it's to walk around with a pan on your head. If you've got 10,000 people banging a pan on your head with you, it's a culture.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just it.
Right. So you have the deal.
I have the deal.
You come back. What's the mindset like?
I remember what it was. I was like, send me on tour. I want to go everywhere because young people were my priority at the time. I was like, I was writing songs about my mates or what we were talking about. It was the tail end of Brexit. I felt unheard. So I had this anger and I was like, I want to get on the road. I want to get on the right, like, club nights in Berlin and Poland. And I want to learn about young people in Slovakia and Poland and Australia and Dallas, not just London. And I was like, how do I relate to a 19-year-old person in Detroit or in Madrid? That's what was my priority from the beginning. And that's when I figured it out.
Okay.
I started talking to people on Instagram, on stories. And people started to, I remember I got 100 views on my story. Got 100 views. Whoa. Kept doing it. Turned into 1,000. Turned into 10,000. And at my formula, I was like, I would meet people and I would showcase them. And then I got my black heart tattoos. And then they would get black heart tattoos and I would just post it. I was like, this is what I have a problem with the world. Do you agree?
And they would inform your art, I would imagine.
Categorically inform my art. Every story I would hear would inform my art and would inform my dialogue in interviews, in podcasts, because I was almost speaking on behalf of the things I'd learned from other people.
Yes.
It's epic.
Yes.
And that was amazing. But then also at this point in my life, now I've got written this new album, I almost had to go back to 19-year-old. I need to write for myself. Because the past two albums were about others. And when I was writing about others, I started to get a little bit more lost. Who am I now? You know, and I felt like Youngblood almost became a mouthpiece that needed to evolve.
Okay. And is it true that, and I don't know if this was incorrect or correct in the research, is that when you were creating your festival, the initial idea was that would almost be the death of Youngblood, if you will.
My second album came out and it went #1. Well, commercial success, right?
Yeah.
And the album that is about to come out, just written, was my next artistic instinct. I started writing that then, 2021. This album I'm about to put out, I was like nearly 4 years old.
Wow.
But I was dissuaded from the album because we'd had commercial success. The album I'm about to put out is wild. 9-minute songs, complete explosion of colour, one through line, concept record. And the label at the time, like, ooh, no. Let's
Ride that commercial
ride
wave.
that commercial wave.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's not Youngblood. Youngblood was always about being like true and wild, and that's why we got the #1 in the first place. No. Yeah. Let's keep on this wave. And I listened to others, and I wrote an album called Youngblood, which is so crazy. The most lost I've ever been is my self-titled album, my third album. And I started to write it from a perspective of what would Youngblood say as the character that you know, as opposed to what would Youngblood say at this moment in his life.
Okay, I follow you.
And after the album came out, I was in a hotel room in New York. New York always comes back. I'm kind of realizing I have these weird epiphanies. I was at top floor of the Ace Hotel in New York. It had gone #1 in 7 countries. And the reviews came in, and some people said I compromised. I was like, you're fucking right. There were great songs on it, but I'd almost written an album about what the caricature of what you know Youngblood is would say.
Okay.
And I called everyone, and I was like, I need a minute. Because it was album tour, COVID, album tour, COVID. You know what I mean? It was like a whirlwind. And I was like, I need to have some space to figure out what it was. Because I think with me, I've been such a polarizing figure. People love me and people don't. And I didn't really realize until I stopped how much of an effect that has had on me, because I would read everything, because I did my own social media. It was always me.
So you were on it.
I was on it.
You were reading all the
My own
comments.
social media I've always done. Still do to this day, right? I felt like I have too much responsibility to a community that I've built. I need to, and it became a bit of an addiction, and I was like, I need to be on this. But I would start to read things about myself that I didn't even know I was insecure about.
Mm. Could you give us a few examples?
I really struggle with my body. I always have. I was always a little bit chubby, and people would say this shit in the comments, and that led me to kind of go down a real hatred of my own body, and then a questioning of inauthenticity. Almost the same. It dragged up all the shit from school. He's too much. They can't be real. His accent's fake. His da-da-da. And that people would formulate these narratives on the internet, and I would read it all, and I would read it all, and I became addicted to reading it all. This self-destructive, weird shit that I would kind of go down and read it and read it and read it and read it and read it. And I needed to take a break from it, because I was like, I am not well. I am drinking a lot. I am eating myself. I am things I was doing after I was eating. I'm really like, oh shit, I'm not right now.
Yeah. I mean, just and
Yeah.
there's a line you tell me
Yeah,
to
yeah,
stop.
yeah.
But what were you doing after eating?
You can imagine what I was doing after eating. You know what I mean? I was fully just eating myself till I was sick, basically. And
Okay.
and I was just going on mad binges and then eating nothing for 4 days, and then like you know what I mean? Like eating myself till I was sick, and drinking myself till for days, and just trying to find distraction anywhere.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I was literally just being like, I can't face this shit. Let me go and indulge in any regard. You know what I mean? And I think I didn't even know how bad it was until I stopped. And I was just like, I would have these kind of intellectual people ridicule what I was doing, when all I was doing was creating from my gut. And it's really hard when kind of people try and intellectualize someone's soul. It's hard to intellectualize art, because that's just someone's expression.
Sure.
You kind of try and put a meaning behind Picasso. Maybe Picasso was just scratching his arse and painted that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we try and intellectualize it all.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Maybe he was like, this means this and this means that. But maybe it didn't. It was just an explosion of the soul.
Sure.
And I had to really go inside myself and find meaning. And again, not allow myself to give them that power.
Right. But when you think about these battles, we had Gabor Mate on, who is really the godfather of trauma. He talks about how what trauma does to us is it reshapes how we then view the world.
Yeah.
And when we internalize the trauma, it shows up in our body
Completely.
and in negative behavior. So when you think about this trauma that's happening to you. How does it impact you physically? How does it impact you mentally?
It was, I was a bastard. I was like, I wasn't talking to my mum. I wasn't talking to my girlfriend. I wasn't talking to my sisters. I was like blaming everything and everyone. You know, I think like you blame the world. I think when you internalize everything, that's why it's, again, such an important thing to talk about. If you don't talk, the poison festers and you start to blame everything around you. That's not the person we want to be. That's not the person we are. I think with it all, I had to fall in love with myself again. So I had to be alone. I've been saying like I don't want to be alone in my whole idea of my fundamentals. And I really had to be alone and be like, what do I want? What do I want? What do I need? And now that's where the festival came, and that's where the new album came from. I was pissed off with festivals anyway. I thought they were taking the piss out of people. You know what I mean? When I'd like go to Coachella.
Right. Because what, the ticket prices?
Yeah, ticket prices or just like fundamentals. It became a thing of absolute privilege. Like $250 for a festival ticket, $125 to $150 for a gig ticket.
Right.
I was like, okay, I'm pissed off at that anyway. I want to get everyone together, so let's start a festival. Sick.
Right.
And I think what Bloodfest did was it really made me realize where this whole thing's at. It made me kind of go like, oh, this has become way bigger than the idea that I think this is.
Yes.
And this Youngblood is different to you, it's different to you, it's different to you, it's different to you, it's different to you, under this whole fundamental umbrella of individuality and love, but it means something different to every single one of the 35,000 people who are here right now. It made me fall in love with the name again, because it became ours, not this thing that is placed upon me. It became an idea in personified form.
Right. And what I see with it is that in complete diversity, in thought, in representation, in lived experience, but the one commonality, Youngblood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was bringing it back to the Gareth Southgate thing again. And he said that, he was like, as England manager, right, I'm bringing in players who are all born in England, but they have different backgrounds, they have different religions, they have different cultures.
Yes.
What is our common goal as a team? Declan Rice and Saka in the same England team. Who are we together?
Yes.
And that is the question for the world right now. That is the question for everyone in our beautiful colours, in our beautiful, different, mad perspectives that might disagree with each other. We need to ask each other, who are we as a collective, as a human race? Because we're failing at the minute. We are so divided, and with no compromise, or no will to compromise, or no will to hear each other or actually see each other. Who are we? We've all got a heartbeat. We all take a piss.
Right.
We are human beings. And I think, again, that idea when I saw Bloodfest and everyone in different iterations, I'm like, this is so sick. Because to me, it's rock music, but to everyone else, it's a world.
It's a world. But it's rock music, I think, with the, I don't want to say unique message, because there's so many incredible rocks with great messages. But I think that it's, you know, I think you do a superb job in delivering your traumas.
Yeah.
You know, and allowing people to connect with that. Because I have read, just like you, I've read the comments.
Yeah.
And there's a wide range of comments, but the overwhelming amount of the comments on all of your videos, all your music, is how people connect to your lived experience.
Completely.
One song I have to talk about.
Yeah.
You already know what song I'll probably talk about is Hatred.
Yeah.
You know, that was, that one hit me.
Yeah, that was wild.
And what I'd like to know is, one is if you could talk a little bit
Yeah.
about the song, but how do you have the strength and almost, I'll say, confidence? Because, you know, we're talking about this conversation of masculinity,
Yeah.
what to say, what not to say. I can imagine the moments before releasing that or even deciding to write
Terrible.
that, you must have been second guessing.
I remember I made that song in New Orleans.
In New Orleans? Okay. One of my favorite places.
Yeah, amazing. It was such a crazy experience to write Hey, because obviously the song is about me being molested in a doctor's surgery while my mum was in the room because I was behind a curtain, right? And I remember Paul, when we were writing, it was a little bit like this. And I never told anyone. I didn't even tell my mum. She didn't know. I didn't even know what it was when it happened. And just been like, what is this? I was like 7 years old. I didn't even know what it was. And we were talking about this thing about kind of masculinity. And does that make me less masculine to have gone through something like that? And by writing that song and by gutting myself, it was kind of probably one of the most courageous things I've ever done. And I say absolutely not. I think it makes me more of a man. And I think to show weakness and to show vulnerability and to ask for help is the most strong thing you can do. You know, I think like it could have gone two ways. It could have defined my life. Biggest killer for men under 50 suicide in this country. Because we feel like we can't talk about it because there's such this staple, don't be emotional, don't get weak, don't talk about that, bury it, especially in British culture as well. Bury that shit, man, don't talk about that. But I'm like lucky for that experience of kind of being able to paint with that, be able to get that out. It was beating the internalized dark character sat next to me. I think that's got 10 million streams or 30 million streams or something like that. One of those 30 million people who's listened to that might have found the strength to go, that shit doesn't define me. That shit doesn't make me less of something. That shit actually makes me up who I am.
Yes.
And that experience, I can find strength in that now because it made me who I am.
Yeah, absolutely. I so appreciate you talking about
Yeah, I'm an open book.
Yeah,
I said that to you. I'm down.
it's one of those where it firmly falls into this. It feels like the theme of this conversation is masculinity.
Yeah, it's
Ways
weird.
to define.
I think it's very weird you've caught me there at this point in my life. It's like at 27, you know, I think like I've been on such a journey and kind of like arrived here at this place,
As this place,
at this kind of turning point, you know.
and we know 27. I mean, we have to talk about the 27
Yeah.
as well. You know, this is something that looms over so many
Yeah.
incredibly talented musicians. At 27, we lost Hendrix,
Yeah.
we lost Amy Winehouse.
Yeah, man.
You mentioned Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, we lost all of them at 27. Were you aware of that entering your 27th year?
Categorically, yeah. And
Okay.
I think with it all, I think like when you again such a staple of youth, like Youngblood was,
Yes.
Youngblood is, Youngblood, whatever. You either die, which was kind of probably maybe on the cards with the way I was drinking and eating and doing whatever and indulging. Definitely like a possibility. You know, if you like, ask me managers and my mates, like it was wild. You either become a pastiche of yourself, where you do the same thing forever and you become a staple of the 90s or the 2000s or the 2010s or whatever, or you reinvent and you become reborn and you change. And I think that's what we're meant to do as humans, you know what I mean? Like, I think like that's why when you fall in love with someone, you've got to fall in love with them 15 times in their life because they're going to change.
Yeah. Well, I've been in the low space forever. I've never heard that. That's a great.
You know what I mean? Because you get
Yeah.
the love of your life. It's got to be the love of your life 10 times because that person's going to change. You can't hold on to the person that you met on the first day you met them when you're 80. You know what I mean? You can look back on it and be like, oh my God, I remember when I fell in love with you. But that person's going to probably become completely different because you've gone on 79 years of adventures together.
Absolutely. That's the reason why, with love,
Yeah.
It's so important to have that connection of values
Yeah.
because your interests will change, but the values kind of
Yeah.
leave you anchored.
And that's cool. And that's literally it. It's
Yeah.
like everything I know about love. You know what I mean?
Look, we have a lot of reality TV stars on We Need to Talk, and I'm always talking to them after the recording about what's happening in their lives. And you know what always comes up is that they all are building their own businesses. They are their own brands. And what amazes me most is between filming, interviews, events, and creating content, they actually have the time to run a business too. But when I ask how they do it, almost everyone gives the same answer. They're using Shopify, which also happens to be a sponsor of this show. You probably know Shopify as the platform that helps you sell products around the world, managing things like shipping, inventory, and returns. But what I didn't know is how much more it can do. Shopify's AI integration writes copy, enhances photos, and even creates campaigns. If you're starting your own business and need extra help, visit shopify.co.uk/need to talk to sign up for your £1 per month trial.
I was talking with your show sponsor, Tinder, and they wanted to know if you've ever been on a date that ended up in an unexpected way. Do you have anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. Endless stories. I mean, one in particular is that when Jill and I were dating, we went to a slam poetry competition, which I will say I knew nothing about slam poetry. And that's when I learned that you snap your fingers, right, when you applaud. I specifically went there because I wanted to impress Jill so that I can get a little, I'll say, bonus afterwards, you know? But what I learned through one of the poets is that we are all artists. The poet specifically said, we are all artists. And that triggered something in me. It made me click to the point where I realized that I wanted to create. I wanted to figure out how to do that. So afterwards, we went out to eat, Jill and I, and we started talking about creating art together. And I learned from that date that, you know, the date isn't just about the other person. It's not about your physical pleasure. It's not about their physical pleasure. It's about what you can learn about life, about yourself. It was an unexpected outcome from a date. So wherever a date may lead, it starts with a swipe. That's why you need to download Tinder. Can we talk about love?
Yeah, we can talk about love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've had some, I'll say, notable
Yes. I have.
girlfriends.
I have.
Yep. But I'd love to talk about your identity.
Yeah.
You know, how, at what point did you feel like you were firm in your identity and sexuality?
I think really when I came to London, you know, I think like I came to London at 15 and I think I had loads of questions. You know, I had loads of like, I went on loads of adventures. With me, I really felt about like, whatever it is, I'm into it. But I couldn't really, no one really got that up north. I was like, what? Or then I was almost forced to be like, well, what are you?
Right.
What are you? I'm like, I'm a viber. You know what I mean? Like, whatever you are, like, if I like you, then I might fancy you, or I might have sex with you, or I might, like, if we vibe out together, then that's the way I see things. I love human beings. I love human beings. I'm like, whatever it is, I'm down if it's a vibe.
It's about right.
And this year has been such a strange thing for me because it's the first time that probably the biggest love in my life I've I've taken space from, and I've asked for space. Last year, I was really having problems with myself, and it was all a me problem. And I think her name's Jessie Joe. Basically, you probably know Jessie Joe Stark. She's probably the most incredible person I've ever met, and she's my best friend. And I feel so lucky to be in her orbit because I got to talk this through with her, and she understood, and she needed a moment. We talk every Sunday, and I mean, ultimately, I think in my life, all roads lead to her because I love her. I never loved anything like I love her. I love her as, I don't know, I love her as everything. I love her as if I'd love You know what I'm saying? Water. I need it, you know? And I think I'd never experienced love like it, because when you can be that honest with another human being, even in times when we're not technically together,
Right.
I was like, she's just
She's
insane.
so right here
Yeah.
where you sit,
Right here where I sit.
you're still in love with her.
Yeah.
So why not be with her?
I think at this moment in time, I needed to build up a fundamental basis of a personality. I was a shell, so I didn't know what I could love.
But do you fear
Yes.
that when you're ready to go back, she may
I
no
think,
longer
I think that's
be available?
complete. I think that's the risk that I'd take. But we talk every Sunday, and I look forward to every Sunday. And I get coffee out of a tea. We have coffee out of a teacup as our thing,
Okay.
and we communicate.
Okay.
It's complicated, but it's our story, and I love her.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about
Everything
that
I
is,
got, you know what I mean?
yeah, it's like I think that we live in a society that likes to have a definition for everything.
Categorically agree with you. The thing about it is, right, we went to Coachella together, right? Coachella's not my favourite place in the world. I'm a Donny boy, fucking England, you know what I mean? It's not really my vibe, that. She's a Cali girl from Malibu, and she loves it. And I was so distracted by trying to go from place to place, or meet person to person, or network, or do whatever, that I wanted to do it on my own. And I'm like, why do I not want to do it with her? And now I look back on it, I was like, should have just held her hand, man. Because the memories I remember from that weekend were getting ice cream, walking through the site with her,
Yes.
chilling out in the pool with her. It was all her.
Yes.
Everything's her.
Yes.
But I've got to, I've got to get myself right. I think it's so easy to be like, it is easy to be like, well, you love her, so be together. I'm like, nah, the timing was, we got to figure the timing out, but I ain't letting it. You know what I mean? But as long as we're communicating through it,
As long as you're communicating,
it's that's our thing.
it is. It
That's
is.
our thing. And that might be like, my mum and dad met at 15,
Oh, wow.
and now they're still together. And they've had the most, like, again, turbulent, crazy, domestically violent, probably 20s to 30s. But now they're 55 and have never been like teenagers.
Wow.
They've figured it out. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I will love that girl until I die.
Right.
And if that ends up like I would love it for one day to have loads of kids with her and vibe out and do all the, like, whatever the fairy tale thing is. But if that doesn't happen, that doesn't happen. But that's why I got tattooed on my arm. I was like,
Look at that. She's
So-
there. She's
there.
always. She's always going to be.
there. And people are like, are you not scared if you don't get back together? I'm like, nah, man. She's on my skin. She's in the same way that she's inked into my heart. You have to love yourself in order to love another. And I didn't.
Yeah. Do you today? Do you love yourself today?
I think I love myself, yeah, a lot more. I think I battle with a lot, but I've learned, again, I needed space to process it. And I think kind of what I think, to give her a little bit of credit with Jessie Joe, right? I really think she needed a moment to kind of bask in her power a little bit. I don't know, I can't speak for her, but I think, like, she's always been kind of like part of the Chromarts family, or Youngblood's girlfriend, or someone's friend, when she is fucking awesome.
Right. I see exactly what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
And you know, and what you're saying, I don't think is so unorthodox if you think about the whole notion of you put the oxygen mask on yourself first,
Yeah.
or you put it on the person next to you.
Completely.
So in a relationship, what that truly means is that, yes, you need to have a sense of self-worth, high enough self-esteem. You need to be enacting self-love first.
And kind of the fundamentals of being a rock star get placed upon you. And can you be a rock star in a relationship?
Right. And then if you're a rock star, you're either not in a relationship, or you need to be with another rock star.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like these boundaries are placed upon you, and you kind of like, how do I deal with this?
Is that how you? So I know I'm assuming before Jessie, Halsey,
Yeah.
right? Was that because she's renowned music artist? You are. Is that kind of how you two
Yeah,
naturally
she was just
gravitate?
cool
Yeah.
when we met at the time, and I was cool to her, and it was, that was almost two things colliding. That's why I don't think we worked out, and it was epic. But we were too. We weren't complete in each other.
And that was earlier in your career as well.
Yeah, I was so young.
So
19.
Yeah.
No, I was like 21, I think. Can't remember how old I was. I was like, I was young.
Do you believe in marriage?
Yeah,
You do.
yeah,
Do you want to be married?
yeah. I think so. I think like I'm a little bit of an old soul like that.
Okay, because so that was a shock to me.
Yeah, really.
I thought you were going to say, nah, marriage, I don't really.
Nah, I'd love to get married.
Really?
I think so. When the time is right, I think.
Okay.
It's weird. I'm a complete contradiction, me. I really am. That's why people don't know how to gauge me, because on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then on the other hand, I am quite traditional in terms of marriage. I would love to do that.
So I'm sure you want to have little ones as well on your team.
Loads. I want loads of little fuckers. Honestly, right, stop. Honestly, I'm going to be such a mad dad. I'm like, right, stop picking on your sister. I got to go on stage now. See you after.
Or come on stage with me.
Oh, yeah, get up on there. But not till songs 3. I know you're going to steal the limelight.
Yep. All right, I love it. I want to get into some of the things that I saw in the comments.
Yes. All right.
I want to have you address
I love that.
some of the controversies, negatives,
Cool.
right? One
Yeah.
is around your upbringing.
Yes.
I see this happen
Completely.
all the time. I know you see it.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
So I think that the notion is okay. Where's he really from? Is he truly from the North?
Yep.
Is he working class, or is he actually kind of this upper class? And the reason why I think class comes into play is because when I got here to the UK, I had no idea
It's
how regimented.
yeah,
it
it's
is.
such an old school concept. You know, I mean, it's like, because our country's 2,000 years old. My dad gets really angry about this because my dad was like, I went to work, we had money, we didn't have money, and then we had it again, and then we didn't have it, and I'd never hidden that. First lyric I put out, I'll admit I've never been broke, but I have been broken. It's the first line of Youngblood that ever came out. And I really think the internet wanted to put a narrative on me because I've got an accent like this. You think my accent's bad? Hear me mum talk. Hello, love. And he's like, yeah, my mum. And it's interesting. People want to put you in a box.
Right.
And I ain't ever said anything other than the truth. That's it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's my vibe, and that's all I can. That's what I can say about it. You know.
So what do you think the idea is behind trying to say that you were from a different? Because I feel like the idea, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Is you've been hearing this your whole life, right? Is that you're from an upper class than what you are. It's almost like you're misrepresenting class.
I don't get that. I don't get where that is from, because again, like what my dad says, he goes, right, your granddad went to war, came back, got off a gas station in Stainforth that had an hardware store with his brother, with a house in the back, and then he had 2 sons, Richard and Philip. My granddad was in a band. Uncle Philip went to school and became a doctor, moved out of London. And then my granddad started a music shop. And then we had a music shop, and then you were born into a music shop. So it's just like, I don't know what class that makes me.
Right.
But we had a successful music shop. My family's the real deal. I know more about rock and roll music than, because it was my education. And sometimes people will be like, oh, well, you had it handed to you because you were from a music shop. I'm like, I'm telling you, you're tripping. I'm into it. And now I'm 27 years old. I'm like, and kind of formulated my internal argument.
Yes.
I'm like, I don't know what to say to you. You're talking shite.
Yeah. Like,
You know
move
what I
on.
mean? Yeah, move on. And
it's
it's kind of just like, oh, is that all you got? You were going to use that. Cool, man.
cool. All right, that's fair.
You know what I mean?
What about this is, all right, another,
Hit me.
I think, misconception, but let's
go on.
see, is queer baiting.
I knew you were going to say this.
All right.
What? Yeah.
So with queer baiting, just
Yeah.
so everyone,
Yes.
understands, is this notion of alluding
Yes.
to having same-sex relationships.
Yes.
but not having same-sex relationships. But the reason why people allude to it is so that they can gain an audience.
Yeah,
A queer audience.
100%.
What's your
My vibe is like, I don't know what people want to say about that. I've fucked everyone under the sun, and that's the vibe. And I love love. And if it's a vibe, it's a vibe. And that's again, it's interesting to be like this. I think when you sign up for entertainment, it's people are like, this is performative, this is da-da-da, and people can formulate an idea on something that they don't even know. In the same way that we're talking about John Lennon or whatever, it's like, that song is about that. It's like, no, I just woke up and had a shit today and I wrote a song. But some days it's just like, oh yeah, no, say what you want. I don't know what to say to you. I'm into what if the person's a vibe, the person's a vibe.
right?
Rock and roll, man. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
I was wearing a skirt since I was 6. You know what I mean? I was into that vibe. I was into like Brian Molko from Placebo, and that's why I wore it. You know what I mean? And but I get people jumped on a bandwagon sometimes to get access. But me, it's a bit more pure than that. I'm just like, yeah, man, I'm into the vibe.
But so now at 27,
Yeah,
doesn't bother you.
no, it's funny. I think it's funny. I'm just like, yeah, man, think what you want.
Just go with it.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, whatever, man.
Yeah, because you knew. I was like, you were like, I knew it.
I knew it.
You just said that.
I'm into the vibe.
Are there any other
Yeah.
misconceptions
Ooh.
about you that you just find that are false?
No, you got the ones in the comments. You got those two are the main things that went around the internet. That when you're 21 years old and Twitter's, when you're the main character on Twitter for a day,
Yeah.
and a narrative that isn't real becomes truth.
Yes.
What do you do in that situation? 27 years old now, I'd probably be like, right, you're all talking bollocks, and here's why. 21 years old, you shut down.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, God, oh. And then you almost have, like, you just don't want to open that can of worms because you feel like you're justifying yourself.
One other that I just thought about.
Hit me.
But this isn't a misconception, but it's a
Yeah,
category.
go on, I like it.
Last comment I saw was someone wrote under some kind of video was, I don't understand why people hate on this guy. Right? So you think about that. I don't understand why people hate on this guy. A lot of folks in the comments, what I've noticed is that there's a sense of, I need to have a voice and opinion. Okay. But there also seems to be like this targeted, I want to come after him.
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
Yeah,
I feel a target.
but I get it.
Why though?
I'm louder than myself. I'm a little bit of an easy target, I think, because I think I'm quite opinionated. And I think I've got an energy that people don't believe is real. That's the thing. Like, went out to the pub the other day, and one of my best mates was with another artist, and my best mate went, "Oh, Dom's gonna come through," and the person, like, "Oh no, I don't know if I can handle that." What do you mean? People just think I'm false, or I'm gonna be a dick, or I'm a little bit too excited. But what people don't understand is the places that they see me in. Radio, TV, award shows. Of course I'm excited. I'm on the radio. I'm on the TV. What do you want me to do? All right. How's your day going? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, and then I went to the pub, met the person, that I'm like, and they admitted to me, pissed up a bit later, was like, oh my God, I completely got you wrong. And can I tell you what? I am a little bit exhausted of people getting me wrong. Because I promise you, I am exactly the same here as I am when I meet you. Every pub I go into,
You're
it's
actually
like,
right.
Oh, you're actually nice. I'm like, what does that even mean? You know what I mean? Or my favorite thing is the masculine thing. Oh yeah, I thought you were a bit of a dick. I don't really like your music, but you actually sound. I'm like, thank you. Don't know how to respond to that, but I appreciate you. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a bizarre thing, but
Was it all of these kind of misconceptions that led you to take your social media break?
yeah. Because the thing about it is, right, if you think about me, right, I walk into a pub. People don't, probably might not even know it's me, but when you're in that world,
Yeah, there. And why is it? So help me understand this.
yeah,
Why is it that there's a fixation on the comments rather than the content? Because I see this with my 14-year-old son
Yeah.
and his friends, is that they go to the comments before they go to the content.
because as human beings, we follow. What does other people think about this? Can I like it? Instead of going, do I like it? Do you like that picture on the wall?
I love it.
Hell yeah, so do I. I'd tell you if I didn't. What if there was 17 comments underneath going, that picture's shite? Would that influence your decision?
Yeah.
Would that influence your son's decision? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That is the way, that's why I think art, or that's why I think the world is pretty scary right now, because we base our opinions off of everybody else's instead of going, do I like this tree? Do I like this sneaker? Do I like this music? My friends don't like this music. My friends don't like these sneakers. Shit, I better not do that.
Mm. You know what? Ultimately, that's self-esteem.
Completely.
Because when you have low self-esteem, you need the validation of others.
100%. And I
Yeah.
think, like, again, like, if you, like, with this album, I had to be like, this is about me.
Okay.
And this is about myself. This is about me creating something for myself.
For yourself. So that break you took, it sounds like you needed the break for many different reasons.
Yeah.
But did you take that time and just put it into the album?
I went into the album. What happened was, I think when you write in LA or London with songwriters, whatever that means, everything's great. Mediocrity slides because people want a cut.
Mm.
If you're a relatively successful artist. So what I had to do is I went up north to make the next album with my producer Matty,
Okay.
who did the first album with me, and my Scottish guitar player we spoke about earlier, Adam, who's my best mate, and a guy called Bob, who's known me since I was 15, right?
Oh, wow.
As humans, we teach ourselves to hide. We hide. All the time. We hide. Because if you genuinely reveal yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and you genuinely put yourself on a plate, and someone else rejects it, turns the nose up at it, invalidates it, it's the biggest trauma and the biggest internal question you get. You go like, oh my God. And you hide. We would rather not say something out of fear of being like uncool or judged, or we just hide. And I was hiding. After this, in this point in my life, you know, when I went to make this album. And what was amazing making this album with people who just want the truth from me. They kind of unpicked me.
Yes.
And allowed me to kind of show me eyes again. I always say that I like allow people to steal your eyes. You know what I mean? I always say that kind of weird metaphor. I'm like, let them steal your eyes. Let them see your eyes. You know what I mean? Because it might inspire. Let them, you know what I mean? Let them take your soul, like you know, and then you get like the little bit of light. I'm looking in yours, right? You got a little bit of white light in your eyes.
Yes, yes.
Like that's when you let people like, let me nick a bit of that. I'll let you nick a bit of that, because that's how we connect and how we communicate.
Wow. So you would say that this album will be your most raw.
So in the past, I've gone like a song like Hated. This is what this song's about. This is what it means. This is what, etc. Whereas on this album, I wanted to kind of relinquish my ego and let my internal subconscious talk and write songs about change and time and mortality and life and why am I here and why did I feel this, but in such a way that it will mean something different to your life than it will to mine.
Yes.
And it's going to be a double album that comes out in 2 parts.
Okay.
And part 1 is almost like the light and the self-reclamation. And part 2 is almost like it comes crashing down to earth and I comprehend my mortality.
You know what's so profound about that is your first book, in
Yeah.
essence, it's a journal,
Yeah, it is.
you know, and I was writing loves and hates.
Yeah.
And I ended with the last love was the moment.
Yeah, man.
Just loving being in the moment.
That's the vibe in it, and that was such a strange thing for me to write, because that book really came in a period after the album, when the book, the festival, going into the album
Wow. Okay.
was very much like, okay, I needed to write something that would allow me to ask questions to myself and help people through the life. Just like, all right, what are 6 things you love about yourself and 6 things you hate about yourself today? I was like, so kind of like doing these weird exercises to kind of like start a journey of like, you aren't all right now. And then I was like, maybe we should make this a book. And it was like very like cool to kind of talk to people about it, because people were like, 6 things you love. I'd be like, chocolate, football, and then something profound like the moment.
The moment, yeah.
So it can kind of, it doesn't always have to be Salvador Dali or Mahatma Gandhi level profound shit. One day you might just be like, coffee in bed in Primrose Hill with her, holding my mum's hand, because now I'm 27 and I feel like I can again. And 3, watching Donny Rovers become first in the league. You know what I mean? It can kind of be like, or then it can literally just be like my confidence.
Yes, yes. And I can see those are your true loves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hates. Can we come back and spend a second on your grandfather?
Yes.
Your reflection. So did you mention that your grandfather passed?
Yes, he did.
Okay. How long ago?
My grandmother and my grandfather passed within 5 years of each other, and my granddad died 18 months ago now.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry to hear that. Didn't know that.
No.
I didn't know about this. But it's interesting because I wanted to come back to ask about what they think of your career. So now I have to come and say that in that moment, when you think back to what they would think about the man that you've become, what is that?
The last time I ever saw my granddad alive, we just sold out Wembley Arena, and it was his birthday. And my granddad was so important to me and my dad. He really gave me, again, the fundamentals of community and rock music. He gave me this adventure. I grew up in adventure.
Yes.
And grew up in this choose life mentality. Do it. Do it. Do not pass up on an opportunity for a moment or a memory. That was my granddad. He was like, ride till the wheels fall off. You know what I mean? And he was a bit of a cynical little bastard, especially when it came to music, because he was the musician in the family. And then I started to want to do that. So he always kind of felt a sense of responsibility to tell me what was good or bad. He'd ring me, not your best, or that song's all right, or this and this. 21st of February is his birthday, and we headlined Wembley Arena 21st of February 2023. And I sang happy birthday to him, and I couldn't really see him. Now, Granddad wasn't someone who would say he was proud of you, because it wasn't built in him. And I think, my dad wanted that from him his whole life. And I wanted that from him, just because he was such a legend. But I've seen videos of him just smiling like I'd never seen him smile before, and it was cool to kind of like see that. I remember we got on our bus, and I was last on, and just turned to me and just went, that was the last time I saw him. And I think he said he was proud of me in that. Because again, like when we talk about the misconceptions in my upbringing, it was like everything I was like did was been judged by musicians in a guitar shop, and a lot of them hadn't made it. My granddad wanted to be a rock star, but he didn't have the words. He didn't have the words. He couldn't put his emotion into words, and that was a fundamental battle that I think I faced with people is like, I found the words.
This makes me have to ask, your song Zombie.
Yes.
All right. What is Zombie about?
So, this is my favorite song on the album because it was the first song that came out off this new project where I was wanting to strip everything back and be like, right, let me write about a fundamental experience. And this song is about my grandmother and my grandfather. My grandmother was the most glamorous northern lady you've ever met. Red nails, leopard shoes, blonde hair, rollers in. So northern. And she died of alcoholism. When the business went bankrupt, kind of, she never kind of came back from that, and she always used to have a drink, but she really started to drink a lot. And the song is about deterioration and watching her deteriorate. And what was harder than watching her deteriorate was her watching herself come to the realization that she'd deteriorated so far that there was no way back. And the biggest thing I learned about writing this song was taking that fundamental emotion and wrapping that inside a song that would again make it feel accessible to people in different scenarios. We all feel ugly. We all feel like we don't want to ask for help. We all feel like we have to go at this life alone. But one experience can change that. By the time she asked for help, it was already too late, and no one really knew. The main lyric of the song is, if I was to talk about the words, they would hurt. So if you were to ask about the pain, I would lie. That was the first line I came up with. And that was partly about losing her, but also partly about me thinking, what would she have said? And I kind of left it on ice for a while. And then my grandfather died. And I really needed to kind of revisit that for them, and finish it. And yeah, that's what the song's about. It's about this feeling of kind of feeling ugly and feeling helpless and not wanting to be a burden for somebody, which is often made up in your own head. Could never have been a burden for me. Could never have been a burden for my mum, my dad, my sisters, my auntie. We wish she was still here. We would have done anything, But people, we get into these dark places where the 6 things we make up in our heads aren't often the case. You know what I mean? And if only we would talk about them, and if only we would communicate, this is what I'm feeling, maybe the people that love us would go, yo, what are you talking about? Or like, no matter how far you stray from each other, there's someone out there, even if you're related or not, that will show you kindness. And I think that's why like, people call me a bit of a tripper or a bit of a dreamer, but I really believe in people. As much as the shit that I see fundamentally on the day-to-day, like, really believe in kindness, and I really believe in love, because I see it every day at the gigs. I get to watch a show every night. People forget that.
Yes.
I get to watch 20,000 people. I get to watch lovers kiss. I get to watch people have an argument and resolve it. I get to watch a father and a daughter find common ground in this.
Yes.
I get to watch old people and young people connect on something that Otherwise, they would have like been rivals. You know what I'm saying? I get to watch beautiful things, and that's the fundamental like meaning of the song, and I can't wait for it to come out. I think it's probably one of the best pieces of Youngblood music yet.
It really shows that, your grandmother, your grandfather, right? All these loved ones, they live through the music.
Yeah, I can't wait for it to come out. That song's been amazing for like 5 years, and I'm finally putting it out.
You're putting out, look at that.
It's so weird how songs kind of rear their head and find their time.
Yes, and now's the time.
Yeah, now is the time. It's
Now
gonna
is
be
the time.
crazy.
Yep. What would 7-year-old Dom say if he met 27-year-old Dom?
He'd probably stick his tongue out and be like, "Who the fuck are you?" Because that's definitely me as a kid.
I went back, I looked at all these interviews, and sometimes, if, going back certain years, I didn't see this level of brightness in your eye.
Yeah, there was one instance I want to talk about that kind of really impacted my life and really kind of summed up the album when I brought it into the real world. Because I've written it,
Right.
I've written it in the studio. And when you take it to the world, that's when you really learn what it is. You have an idea of what it is, but when you give it to the world kind of tells you back what it is. And I was at this event in Amsterdam, and a load of people had turned up outside, and it's like when cameras are there, and you're a bit like, whoa. But I got to have this human interaction with a girl, and she was like, "Your music saved my life. You saved my life." And I was like, "No, I didn't save your life. You saved your own life. Maybe my music was a soundtrack to it, or maybe it provided you hope, or maybe it provided you a little bit of a spring in your step, but you made the fundamental change or turning point in your own life to even say these words." And that is what I wrote this album about. And it's called Idols because it's the first time in my life I realized that I was the one with the answer the whole time to peace. In the same way that you are, your peace.
27 years and you figure that out
Just now.
just now. Yeah.
You've got to turn to yourself, It's
Yeah.
very crazy.
It is as well. And to your point is that we have to go through that storm
Yeah,
in order to build up the resilience, in order to be self-reflective,
completely.
So I'm completely with you.
Dude.
You know what's so wild is Don, is like, we need to talk. We talked about it all,
Yeah.
and I always have a last question
Yeah.
that I ask, and then I have an ending thought, but I cannot wait to hear the answer to this question. Everyone gets this question.
Cool.
Okay? If you think back to your 27 years,
Yeah.
you've had some incredible conversations with incredible people. Which conversation stands out the most? And who is it with? What did you learn in that conversation?
15 years old. I went down to the basement of the producer who is with me now, called Matty Schwartz. And I never thought the love of my life would be a 54-year-old Israeli man. Kicked me out of his studio in 15 minutes. And I remember this changed the trajectory of my life because I was in London and I was kind of like trying to make it, right? And I brought in these songs that I'd been listening to other people, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "These are shit." I never had someone like hit me like that. I was like 15 years old. And he looked at me and he was like, "Who are you?" And I didn't know.
Mm.
And I left that studio traumatized. But I really remember that conversation changed my life because I went home, but in the back of my mind, I was like, this guy's right. And I remember Thomas, my manager at the time, kept ringing Matty, being like, "You got to get back in with him. You got to get back in with him." And this started a thing called the month. And I call it the Youngblood month. Because I went home and I had a front room in Wandsworth, and Thomas, my manager, was paying me rent. I sat in my front room and I just wrote that down. And I had a TV and a couch, and I was like, "Who are you?" And I came up with, I literally spider diagrammed everything. I was like, "What am I mad about? What do I wear? What do I want to look like?" That's where the pink socks came out. I knew that I loved Sex Pistols pink.
Yeah.
And I went back, and if you ask Matty today, I came back with fire in my eyes. And then that led to the Get Down, the song I wrote in the Get Down, the poem about Brexit. Who are you?
Yeah.
No one ever asked me that.
And that allowed you
No one ever asked me that. Something that simple.
go on the journey.
Stories. Everything's about stories.
Yes.
Stories are everything.
How you got your record? Yeah, that's the story that
That's what I'm saying. Like, I was actually talking to a guy who, a guy who's just come into my life, who is a guy called Ocean, who is a pub landlord he's just opened an Irish pub called the Devonshire in town. And we have a deep love of music, and he's got this crazy pub with a back room that's like, he allows crazy artists to come in, and like you'll find like Ed Sheeran or Capaldi or me or Niall Horan just back there playing, and like you just like pints of Guinness doing all the vibe. It's so funny you said that, because we were talking about that yesterday. We were just like, we went for breakfast yesterday, and we were just like, what's it about at the end of the day? Stories. It's all about stories. If you're a pub landlord owner, if you're a musician, if you're a doctor, if you're a decorator, it's all about stories. When you sit down on your deathbed, or when you sit down at Christmas, what's it about? Stories. When we sit together, stories. We tell stories. So make sure you're present enough when they're happening, or you're going to have no stories to tell.
That's golden.
It is,
That's
though.
golden.
It really is.
Yeah.
This day and age.
Yes, that's golden. Tom, this has been incredible.
Dude, honestly, thank you so much. I've loved it. Honestly, I felt like you gave like old me a voice. I pushed a lot of shit down, especially like misconceptions around me. You know? I felt like I just had to kind of let it go and let people think that shit and not kind of have an argument back. And you gave me that today. I appreciate that.
No, it's been an honor.
Thank you. Me
Yeah,
too.
it has been an honor. And I tell you what, I cannot wait for the album.
Yeah, dude. Soon. Coming soon, man.
And I tell you, my son can't wait.
Dude, honestly, No Cap Bloodfest. If you're around 21st of June, bring your whole crew.
You know, I've never done a festival with my boys.
Oh my God, that could be lit. And to be honest, well, let's make that happen. That'll be sick. We'll bring him backstage and that.
Oh my God, he's just gonna go.
Yeah, it's gonna be epic. Honestly, I think he'll freak.
All right, done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're a legend. I remember that was so sick. You are, man. Yeah, you are. You're doing it right.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Once again, I love the conversation. The plan was not to go in and talk about masculinity. That was not on the cards, but I found we continually went back to that topic, and you can see it was on his heart. And at 27, he's now just fully realizing and understanding what masculinity means to him. And I think that's powerful for him to be so forthcoming about that, you know? And he admitted to still being on this kind of journey of exploration and self-love and dealing with insecurities. But you know what? Who isn't? We are complete in our incompleteness, you know, and he represents that concept well. And what I loved about this conversation is we began to remove labels of things. That's a label that we need to remove. What he has is a version of love. As he was saying it, my initial thought was, well, you need to be with her. And I'm going to now coach you into being with this woman that you love. I was like, I'm just going to let you talk, and then I'm going to start coaching you. Send me the check later. But then as he continued to talk, what I realized is that he truly is identifying what his self-worth is, what his self-esteem is. He's regaining his self-confidence. And to his point, and he said this eloquently, is you need to have that intact or in a semblance of that before you can fully emotionally connect with someone. Because he used the example, in a disagreement, he would just walk off or not fully understand. So he actually is doing it right.
Do you think you can be friends with your ex?
The quick answer is absolutely. You could be friends with your ex. Many people are not because of how the relationship ended. It sounds like this was a mutual decision that they made. So to me, it feels healthy. I'd love to see them get back together. I'd love to see it.
The conversation around who are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are you?
You know, when Don was saying this, right? In my mind, I kept saying, I hope he doesn't ask me. That should be asked on a date, every date.
Who are you?
Right. Who are you? Who are you? I guess it depends on how you say it.
Yeah. Who are you?
Who are you? Who are you? Are you ready? That's probably too much. Let me see. How about everyone? Everyone. Everyone. Oh my God. Sheffield. Chef. Scott, how do you say this? Is it
Sheffield.
Sheffield. Man, at least this isn't live, right?
Well, no, but that's about to change, isn't it?
So we are going to We Need to Talk live for the first time. The magic is in the conversation, so we'll have a very special guest. You know what's probably most cool about this is this will be the first time that the We Need to Talk community will come together in person. You know, I'm curious to see, what does everyone look like? What do they smell like? Sheffield, July 5th at the Crucible Theater. So to get tickets, very simple. It's crossedwires.live. It's very important to buy tickets quickly because they will go fast. We'll make sure that there's a link below.